Speaking of
Should we?
spending money, that's a
Yeah,
great
hit me.
transition. Speaking of
Yeah,
spending money, your old team Kawasaki spent some money to get those boys
dude.
over to Hawaii for
Well,
that press drop.
I think it was Monster.
Think so?
I think Monster fronted. Well, Cowie had to have spent some money shipping a bike up, but I think in terms
Yep.
of the track, I was reading a interview Sexton did with our buddy Steve Mathis. Yeah, I think Monster fronted some of that bill, but that was super cool
It
because
was
it
amazing.
really is. It's such
Yep.
a big. Obviously, Chase is a huge name in the sport now, and I feel like that news required something big and different
Hmm.
like that. And Chase and his buddies, like, I don't know if Levi Kitchen went this year, but there's a whole group, Tom Vial, all these guys are going to Hawaii in the off season for like, even, I think Chase was there 3 weeks, 4 weeks, um, which is, it's kind of cool that Chase is relaxed enough in a short off season, like a very short off season, where I would be like, dude, I got to get back. I got to start, I got to get on the bicycle. Oh my God. It's cool that he's experienced enough now, has enough base fitness, and he's okay kind of starting everything later. But I thought back to the Cowie announcement, I loved what they did there. I really did. It was so cool. It was totally Chase's vibe. We know he's into surfing and kind of loves the water, things like that. I felt like they did not miss the mark there. I thought that was great. And yeah, they're going to be spending. I saw he also signed a 3 year deal,
Yeah. That's
which
cool.
that'll be
I like
nice.
that.
Some continuity for Chase.
Yep.
3 years.
Hmm.
I saw in the interview with Steve, he said he wanted to find a home. He was tired of leaving teams. And hey, he's under the same roof as me, brother. Team Green, let's go.
Yep. I like it. And the biggest reason I like that launch that they did, it fit Chase so well. Like I just think Hawaii and Chase are so I don't know, they're so connected because Chase on the podium when he leaves, he'll always do like the hang loose
Oh yeah.
thing, which is kind of like a Hawaii vibe. He obviously surfs, like you mentioned, he goes there quite a bit. So I thought it was great. It was really really cool. So yeah,
And that's the move.
well done Kawasaki and Monster.
That's the move that you've been most excited about
I
for a
have.
long time. Even
Yep.
talking to you off air, dude. You are
I
fully
like
on
that
board
one.
this Cowie and Chase
Yep.
program. And
I think
you
I
know,
think the timing. Go ahead.
no, the timing, like you said, obviously it couldn't have gone any worse for Cowie. I mean, starting with me, to be honest with you, I was supposed to be the guy that came in there and won. I was supposed to be the RV type that came through the ranks, went to PC, came. They spent a lot of money. I was supposed to be that guy. My boy got upstairs. We had different plans, but now it's on Chase. Didn't go well with Prado. Anderson left, and I feel like both of them right now are so desperate to win
Hmm.
that I think Cowie is as desperate to win as Chase is. And Chase is just naturally built that way. We've talked about it plenty of times. He's a competitive, bit of a psycho, bit of a freak, which you need that. I think for Chase, I think it mostly works to his advantage. So I I really I think it comes down to, can people work well together? I think somebody like Chase could win on any motorcycle in the pits, pretty much. Can win on any motorcycle. And it's can everybody be on the same page, and like we talk about with Honda, rowing in the same direction. Of course, there's stuff like, we know Cowie's a stable motorcycle. We think it fits what Chase does really well. But more than anything, long-term success to me is if those guys can get along, be rowing in the same direction. It keeps the vibe up. It's easy to stay motivated. It's easy to come to work. Um, I like those personalities meshing right now specifically.
Yeah. And most things in life, as we all know, is about timing. No matter when you meet your spouse. Oh, like we talk about a lot. If I would have met Paige when I was 4 years younger, maybe we don't end up together because she's in a different spot in life and I'm in a different spot. But the timing was just perfect, and here we are. Same with probably you and your girlfriend, and like the list goes on and on and on. I just think this is the perfect timing for all the reasons that you said. And I think Chase has matured a ton. When we had him on the show during the summer, you could just hear it in his voice how he's trying, he's wanting to get better, and he's under a microscope. That's the thing that's most difficult for Chase is he's the one guy that we all know can challenge Jet, and that's the standard we hold him to all the time. And sometimes he crashes doing it, and um, the standard is just that high. So sometimes it might be unfair, but I do think we're going to see the best version we've ever seen from Chase Sexton. I love that he did a 3-year deal, especially coming off the heels of what he just experienced. So to believe in a new team as much as he has in Kawasaki, I think that says something. I think he's already initially saying, no, those are my guys. I'm going to make sure they're my guys. And I think Kawasaki's the same way because what's the other choice? Like you kind of have to make it work at this point. So I think it's a match that's going to we're going to be talking about for obviously a few years now. I think he's going to win a lot of races. The hardest part, and we'll talk about Tomac next, the hardest part is Jet Lawrence. He's just so darn good. And for any of these guys to beat Jet, I just don't know if it's possible. So that's the hard part. And the standard for a guy like Eli or for a guy like Chase is wins and championships. And when they don't get that, they come up short. It's a failure of a season most of the time, and they get scrutinized for it. And I don't think that's fair, but that's just the standard they're held to. But I think we will see the best version of Chase. I do.
So you're normally a guy that says it takes 12 months or longer to get used to a new motorcycle, new
8 to 12.
team, new
8 to
test
12.
tracks. 8 to 12. Okay, 8 to 12.
8 to 12.
So are we bypassing that? Is this such a perfect fit
Mm,
that Chase Sexton is going to come in and just blow everybody's doors off?
well, I don't think there's any doubt that Chase will be better on the Kawasaki in 8 months from now than he will be in January. But he, if the standard is championships, he's gonna have to get off to a good start. Same with
My,
Eli. I mean, I think Eli's going to have a little more difficult of a time now. Dude, I might be retracting some of these statements about Eli because he looks good in
he
these
looks
videos, man. I,
good.
I know we can't take anything from that. History, if history repeats itself at all, which most of the time it does, there's so many Insta bangers that we see. We're like, oh, that guy looks good. But I'll tell you, Eli looks really good on the KTM. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be better in 8 months than he is in January. Is he good enough in January to be there, with Jet to win races? That's to be determined. But uh, I don't think he's going to learn. I think he'll continue to learn the motorcycle. And the reason I say this, the reason I say 8 to 12 months to get to their very best on that motorcycle is a couple things. The first thing is just the language that the team and the rider use amongst each other. You're going to explain your forks much different than I explain my forks, much different than Chase explains his forks. So how does that suspension technician get our information and get the proper change done? That takes time, right? I mean, it just
Yeah,
does. Same with engine
absolutely.
builder. Like I'm going to explain bottom end connection probably different than you explain it, and so on and so on and so on, and everything on the motorcycle. So that takes a little time. And then expanding on that is you've seen the dirt conditions that Tomac's riding at KTM. I mean, it looks prime. Like I would love to go ride those
Oh
conditions.
yeah.
And there's Colorado home, so there's two conditions there. Same with Chase. He's going to ride in Florida and California. That's nothing like Indianapolis. That's nothing like some of these other tracks we go to. So I think that's why it takes a little bit of time and learning to be their very best self. Now maybe they're good enough to win at A1, that's or win at San Diego or early in the season. That's to be determined. But I'm so excited to see these guys when the gate drops. It's gonna be so fun.
Well, I think a different angle analysis on Chase. We talk about, I mean, we know in general the sport is so mental, regardless of who you are. Um, but I think for Chase specifically is how does he remember this year and really years prior too? He's had that. We looked at the stats this year. I remember talking about an RDL. The middle part of the series, he's had that slump where you
Yep.
have a couple bad races, and it's easy to kind of, man, when you work as hard, there's nobody. I mean, really, that you could say that about any of the top five guys or so. It's hard to work harder than Tomac or Chase or Jet. If anything, it's all about how you work. It's working smarter. Everybody's
Yeah.
willing to do whatever it takes, and they do on a daily basis. I mean, that it has to be your number one priority in life, period. Like, period. And the guys that win consistently are all doing that. But it's about working smarter. And I think mentally for Chase, what I've seen, I've talked about his strength as being a psycho competitor, wanting it so bad. The hardest part of that, and I'm leaning on my own experience at times where I was in good form and I had potential to win. And of course, I'm not Chase. But the hardest part, especially when you're going up against somebody like Jet Lawrence, man, is that no matter how hard you work, no matter how good you are if you're Chase, no matter how good the bike is, like you are going to have bad races. And Jet is just going to beat you sometimes. And sometimes it might be pretty bad. And sometimes it might look so unbelievably easy for Jet to do that when someone like Chase or Eli is struggling. But specifically for Chase, to me, fixing that slump in the middle is finding a way to be more okay with losing sometimes. It's hard. I mean, it's kind of like an oxymoron a little bit, but you have to want it enough to put everything into it. And then when you're just not that good, take one out of new Hall of Fame inductee Chad Reed. He was great at this. It's like he would go and get beat by 40 seconds and he would just let it roll off him. And then he would come out the next week and win. I think for someone like Chase, I think that's his demon that he has to conquer is when that does happen, when the inevitable happens and you get beat, can you find a way to just be like, to focus back on the process and say, I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do. Maybe I have to change it. Maybe I have to adjust it a little bit. But I did everything I was supposed to do. It didn't work out. That's the end of it. Moving on. To me, the guys like Dungy, Villapoto, Carmichael, these guys have gone on these crazy runs, kind of like, Jets had some injuries lately. So, obviously didn't win the Supercross title last year. But to me, he has that temperament where he can stuff can roll off him and he can just wake up on Monday, leave it behind him, keep going. To me, that's what's standing in Chase's way of being a guy that could go and win a couple championships, a few championships in a row. I think mentally is just finding a way to get through those times where it's not going great and it have less of an effect on you mentally. That's the best way I can describe it. If Chase can get over that hump, I think we're going to see, because we've seen it. We've seen it even this year. Think back to Washougal, first moto at Ironman. We know that Chase can do it on any given night, but can he consistently bring that? That's what he's going to have to do, barring injury or anything crazy, in order to beat Jet on a consistent basis. So can he do that? To me, it doesn't really matter what bike he's on or what he's doing. If he can do that, he can win. And if he can't, he can't. So to me, that's the hump that we're talking about Chase getting over. And you and I have both seen the signs. Even talking to him, he
Hmm.
appears more even keel, level headed. He knows that. What I just
Yeah.
said, he knows all that. Absolutely. But it's another thing to actually do it. And that's why there's so few Chase Sextons of the world, Jet Lawrence's, Eli Tomacs. It's hard to
Hmm.
do. So I'm excited to see if he can put it all together. And even if it takes a year on a new bike, I think it's fine. I think you
Yeah.
use it
Totally
as
fine.
I think it use it as an exercise of like, look, I'm going to do my best, whatever it is, period. Move
Yeah.
on.
I think those
Um,
two things are somewhat connected, though. Like having a good group of people that you trust around you, which, Chase has unfortunately started to not get along with two of his prior teams, and that starts to surface. And then he's struggling with the bike.
yeah,
Then we're midway through the season, and then you live and die your identity. You live and die by it during the week. So then you start to get bummed. You start like
been there.
it's this snowball. So I think if he can start this relationship on good, and you have to start the relationship with so much respect for each other that I think that could help that slump. So I think everything's sort of connected. And like every sports team that goes on a run or everyone you just mentioned, those teams, like we have to look at Honda right now. That team is so glued together. If Jet goes and if he struggles at Anaheim 1 like he did last year, they weren't even worried. They were all together, like, all right, we're getting back to work. We're in this thing together. And I've never sensed that from Chase, where the team and everyone, and he's believed in them and they totally believe in him. And it's like
Yeah.
they fully work together. If he has that at Kawasaki, he's going to be dangerous. He's going to be really, really good.
Well, and again, when you're talking about the standard right now, which is Jet, everyone in the pits knows that everybody in Honda is on the same page. And that
Yep.
goes with, we talk about Darren, Dazzy
100%.
as well. And Kier, Chase's dad, is a big part of his program. He's been there from
Yep.
the very beginning. And I think he is essential to Chase's program as well. And he's bound, like many dads that have sacrificed their entire lives for their son, they're bound to have strong opinions on what direction this way should go, the bike should go, or the training should go, or the testing and all this stuff. So, like you said, at the end of the day, it comes
Mhm.
down to mutual respect. And
Yep.
one thing I will say about Chase before we move on to Tomac, you don't get to be where Chase Sexton is without learning from your failures, learning from your mistakes. You don't. He didn't just fall into being one of the best guys in the world. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. You don't fall in. You don't luck into doing what he's done. So if I was a betting man, I would say that he was going to figure it out. So
Yep.
we got a lot to look forward to there. And he's got a new teammate, Marchbank.